Today we're going to cover Chapter 8, titled Bridging the Fear Gap. What does that mean? Well, we find during retirement, retirees are fearful of using their money to create retirement income. They don't know what to do, the steps necessary to provide them financial independence. So we like to look at really how they started saving money from the beginning. And in Chapter 8, as you follow along with me, you'll see that the first graphic shows someone working, and their whole goal is to accumulate assets, asset accumulation between the time they're working until they retire. They want to make sure they have as many assets as possible by the time they retire. And to do that then, typically they need to take some risks. They need to go through some volatility. They'll probably suffer some losses because they're trying to earn a high rate of return. And the only way to earn a high rate of return is to take a little bit or a lot more risk with their assets. So along the way, they save money when they're working, and they accumulate assets, and then one day, all of a sudden, they're sitting at retirement time. And they think, okay, I just went through the hard part. The hard part was saving money. The hard part was sacrificing. The hard part was doing without. The hard part was dealing with a boss I didn't like for 30 years, but now I've done it, and I've retired, and I have this amount of money saved for retirement. Now what do? Well, we like to look at the realistic view of retirement, because when you retire, you're going to now have this lump sum of money. You might not know what to do with it, and you have to find a way to create an income stream that will start at retirement and that will last all the way through your retirement. And if you're married, all the way through your spouse's retirement time period. So what we always talk about is when you retire, you're standing on what we call the top of the retirement planning process mountain. You've saved money, now you need to use that money. And that would be the typical view. That's how people look at their retirement savings. Well, we like to look at the view of retirement planning reality. And this is when you're standing at the top of the retirement planning mountain. You've saved money all the time you were working, and now you're retired. Going down the mountain is completely different than going up, because now you have to invest differently. You have to start taking money out of your accounts versus putting money in. You have to eliminate volatility. You have to get rid of losses entirely. You have to stop worrying about the money and create a consistent level and guaranteed income stream that will last for as long as you live. And it's very, very important for you to understand that going down the mountain is definitely different than going up. So what we find is, as you go through the chapter, you'll see a title called The Retirement Planning Gap. The retirement planning gap is the gap between the day you retire and the day you start taking income out of your assets for retirement. And in some cases, that can be a very wide gap, almost like a Grand Canyon gap, because fears will cause you to look at your assets rather than use your assets. Fears will stop you from using the assets you save for retirement for income during retirement. And there's many, many fears that will cause you to stop using your assets. There's fears of things such as losses, taxes, volatility, uncertainty in the marketplace or just with your life, your income ending or decreasing, your spouse passing away, inflation, you're no longer making salaries, being able to provide for beneficiaries, needing a lump sum in the future, maybe you think you're spending too much or even an impending divorce. All those fears will stop many retirees from using their money. So planning, true retirement income planning, is the only thing that will help eliminate those fears. And if we can eliminate those fears, we call it bridging the retirement gap. So we want to put a bridge between the time you retire and the time you start taking income out so you can walk across the bridge. We get rid of all those fears. If we can make it where your assets no longer subjected to volatility or subjected to losses, or you're guaranteed your income will never run out, you most likely will finally be ready to start using your assets to produce income as long as it's never going to run out for as long as you live. And that's what planning does. Planning will give you that opportunity. So you have to get rid of those fears, and you can only do that with planning, and you have to start using those assets for income. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself down the road at 70, 75, or 80 with the same assets and wondering the same thing. When can I start using my money, and am I ever going to get rid of this fear that my money is going to run out? So bridging the retirement planning gap can help you get rid of that fear, get rid of the worries, and it will allow you to start using the money you save for retirement.